Yeah. I'm not sure about the age part, but today there were a ton of gifs online of Kerry, and I commented on several of them. And the one gift, there's a picture of him doing the discus punch to Mr. Perfect, and and I watched it. I sat there and I watched that one gift for about 5 minutes, just playing over and over and over and over. And at first I was just sort of like whimsically thinking, remembering both of these guys. And then I started watching it more from like a professorial point of view, like what are they doing right? Are they doing anything wrong? The first thing that jumped out at me was the fact that I knew then and since that Kerry Von Erich at that point in his life had one foot. If you watch that gift closely, when you see him spin, you'll see him spin on his good foot, and the other foot is fused. It's not moving, and it's just a prosthetic foot. That speaks about what a fucking incredible athlete Kerry Von Erich was. We see today, these guys coming back from the war and stuff with these much more advanced prostheses, and I don't see them doing discus punches. Just incredible to me that he was able to do that. And, a little side story about Kerry, Kerry and I traveled together in 1990 when I was there. And I learned a wealth of information about working out from Kerry. He was just a machine in the ring. What most people that didn't know Kerry may not know is that he was just a really down-to-earth, normal, everyday guy. And had no airs about him whatsoever, even though he was raised in one of the most famous families in wrestling history. His entire life was spent in the spotlight. He was an uber celebrity in Texas where he grew up. Everywhere he went, everybody knew who he was. Hey, that's Kerry Von Erich. It's one of the Von Erichs. And yet, even after all that, was as down-to-earth as you or I, and just a really great guy. I have nothing but fond memories of him. When I heard about his suicide, what shocked me was, in that moment, was Kerry talking about his other brother's suicide. And he kept saying to me, you can't do that, man. You can't do that. It's against God's plan. It's against God's will. And when I heard that he had done that, it broke my heart, because I know that when Kerry was telling that, he wasn't just telling that to like sound like he was hip or cool or knew what he was talking about. He fervently believed that. And so as time has gone on, I started thinking, well, what would have led him to that? And, without going into the whole backstory of it, he had become badly addicted to pain pills. With having lost the foot, your foot acts like a shock absorber. And he once told me that every step he took, the impact of that step went to his knee, to his hip, to his back, and caused an extreme pain. And as somebody's been through addiction with OxyContin, the hopelessness that you feel in that situation. And certainly when you're somebody as famous as Kerry Von Erich, you can't just go walking into any, meeting or, any clinic and say, hey, I got a problem. If you do, it's going to be on the front page of the newspaper tomorrow. So it breaks my heart that Kerry, my close friend, must have felt trapped in that, and that he had no alternative than to do what he had to do what he had done to end that pain. Is heartbreaking to me that he didn't think he could pick the phone up and call somebody, because there were plenty of people who loved Kerry. Everybody that knew Kerry loved him. But again, as I was watching the gift today, I just marveled in, what a stud he was. What an athletic stud to be able to do what he could do. And then the other part of that is, Mr. Perfect, the same thing, sentiments, with addiction and drug use. And but if you watch Kurt take that bump off the discus punch, every wrestling fan has seen everybody flat back off a punch. But the discus punch is so much bigger and so much prettier that it warrants a bigger bump. And when you look at that, watching those two stellar studs in the ring plying their craft was mesmerizing. it was just like watching, honey flow downhill and watching these two guys perform. And, I just think there's so much of that missing in the business today. The capability's there with the kids, no question about that. The leadership is sanitized of it, of forcing that. Because I can assure you both, I'm sure Kerry under his dad, Fritz, and I'm guessing Kurt under his dad, Larry the Axe Hennig, and in his case under the promoter in AWA.
Vern Gagne.
Vern Gagne, there you go. I had Fritz Von Erich in my head. That when you know the way that he was brought into the business and then brought up in the business, that he was taught properly and held to account. And the net sum of that for both of these guys was the specialness you saw in that GIF. That any one of those GIFs that were posted today for Kerry, both gone way too soon. And it's become cliche to say that in this business. But with these two guys, they were two guys I knew very well. At one point, they had told me the idea of putting me and Kurt together in a tag team called the Perfect Pair. And, they were both close friends, and I miss them. I think the wrestling business is far worse off without them.